To do the couching stitch, we actually need two different pieces of yarn. You need one piece of yarn that's going to sit on top of your fabric like this, and you actually need to cut it to size. So this one is going to go from about here on the black line to here. I always like to cut it just a little bit extra just in case, like that. And it's going to sit right on top of the burlap. Now this is never going to go under the burlap, and it's never going to be threaded. This is where it stays. If I had a curved line, then I would curve this on top. So this will just be molded to whatever shape line you have. And we also have a second piece of yarn. This one is going to be a little bit longer, and this is the one that we are going to thread our needle with. Once I've threaded my needle, I'm ready for the couching stitch. So I'm going to take this threaded needle here and carefully stick it underneath the burlap while holding this piece of yarn on that black line that I drew. I'm going to go to the end of this yarn, and I'm going to poke around and come up as close to that yellow piece of string as I can, or the yellow piece of yarn. And I'm going to pull all the way until the knot hits the back, and then what I'm going to do for a couching stitch is I'm going to jump over that yellow yarn and then go back down as close to the yellow yarn as I can. So it sort of wraps around the yellow yarn. Then I'm going to leave about a thumb's amount of space, and then even use that to sort of hold it down. And then again, from the bottom underneath my burlap, I'm going to come up as close to that yellow yarn as I can. And then once I pull it all the way, then I jump over that yellow yarn and I go right back down on the other side, like that. I'm going to show one more time. Again, if this comes off the line, I'm just going to move it back on before I do my next stitch. I put my thumb down on top of this yarn, and then from underneath the burlap, I'm coming up really close to the yellow. Let's see if I can get closer. There we go. Really close to the yellow. And then I'm jumping over it to the other side, and right on that same row of burlap, I'm going to go back down to the other side. Now I have to be careful as I do couching stitch that I'm not making it really wide. If I don't get close enough to the line here, or to the yarn, and then I go over too far, it's not going to wrap around the string like these ones do. We want to make sure that it's always wrapping right around it, getting as close as we can. Now when we get to the very last stitch, we're going to again go to the very end, come up as close to that yellow yarn as we can, jump over it, and go down as close to it as we can again. And then we just tie a knot on the back side. So I'm going to make my little swirl here, put my needle onto the center, and then press this down so it's as close to the burlap as it can be. Then after that, I can cut it off. And then at this point, if you've got a little bit of extra string, you can go ahead and trim it, but don't get too close to this last little couching stitch here, because otherwise this piece could come out. And then you're done.